Hi, my name is Leanne Olivier, and I'm here to help you use the LibGuide on fairy tales and folklore to conduct some research and get started on the final project for your literature class. So I know you have your assignment guidelines with you, but I wanted to go over just the basic parameters of your assignment to refresh your memory about what you'll be looking for when you use this LibGuide. So the first thing you'll want to do is to discuss why fairy tales are relevant in general. Then you'll choose one fairy tale in particular to explore more deeply. After you've chosen your fairy tale and reread the original version or a translation of the original version, you will then look into examining your fairy tale from a psychological standpoint, a social standpoint, a feminist standpoint. You can kind of combine all of these or focus more on one in particular. And then you'll be looking into modern adaptations of your fairy tale in literature, film, or television to show that this fairy tale is still culturally relevant. People are still enjoying it and learning from it. So I want to move now to the LibGuide itself. Your instructor has posted a link to this LibGuide in your Moodle page. So the first thing that we talked about was looking at fairy tales in general. So instead of going through each of these tabs in order, I want to show you the way it might work best for you as you're approaching your assignment. So looking at the significance of fairy tales in general, you may want to start actually with this last tab that says Multimedia. You would click on the Multimedia tab, and there are two really good TED Talks here. They're brief, about 10 minutes long each, but they are conducted by two scholars in the field of fairy tales. One has to do with transforming our understanding of fairy tales, and the other is called Fairy Tale, A Very Short Introduction. So I think these would be a really good place to start. Another aspect of the multimedia links is a podcast called Deviant Women. And once you've chosen your fairy tale, you may want to delve more deeply into this podcast. I have several episodes here on the LibGuide for you to look at, and that will depend on what author you're looking at and what fairy tale you're looking at. So you've got ideas, hopefully, for your introduction from looking at these two videos. And then you might want to go into looking at what fairy tale you want to explore. You may already know, but if you don't, I'm going to show you some places to get started. If you go to Reference Works, this shows several books that are in the library's reference section. So these are physical books, and your assignment does ask that you use both actual print materials as well as electronic materials. So if you look through these anthologies in the library, you'll see lots of original fairy tales. All three of these are anthologies to fairy tales from Western Europe, England, Ireland, Scotland, France, and they are all translated into English. So you may want to browse through these to come up with your original story. Another really good place to find an original story to research is if you go to the Websites tab. It has links to a few different websites that also include original fairy tales. One of them that I really like, that I'm going to show you again in a minute when we get to modernized versions, is this Sur la Lune Fairy Tales. So if you click on that, you'll see that it has all different components of fairy tales. But pretty close to the top here, if you go to annotated tales, annotated means they just have notations that take you to more information on different aspects of the story. They are listed alphabetically, which is awesome. So you may already have a fairy tale in mind, but you know you need to reread it. Let's say you want to do Beauty and the Beast. takes you right here. Click on Beauty and the Beast, and it gives you an original version of the tale with annotations that you can click on to learn more. So those are really good places to start. Once you've picked your fairy tale out, you've reread it, I would go back to the LibGuide and look at resources that will help you dive more deeply into that fairy tale. So I might start here with books. These are books that are available either in the library or as ebooks through the LSU library. So some of them are tangible, some of them are electronic, but they delve into archetypes in fairy tales, psychological significance of fairy tales, feminist retellings and perspectives on these fairy tales. So once you're ready to dive more deeply into your research, I would check out some of these books and ebooks. Then when it comes time to look at how your fairy tale has been adapted in modern ways, I would go back again to that Sur La Lune website. I just think it's a really great website. So go back to the websites tab, back to Sur La Lune. And then let's say again, we're using Beauty and the Beast as our story. So you would go back to Annotated Tales, Beauty and the Beast. And then there's all these tabs on top. One of them that's really cool here is Modern Interpretations. So you click on Modern Interpretations, it's going to show you modern interpretations of this story in literature. And you'll scroll down. I mean, there's so many adaptations of a lot of these stories, but as you scroll down, it'll show film and television. So it's got like short stories, poetry, young adult literature, all kinds of different adaptations of your story. Anytime you are on a website and you want to get back to the LibGuide, you just click the back button until you're back to the LibGuide page. A couple of other things to point out on this page. Journals. So these are links that you can look at online that take you to both original versions of fairy tales, retellings of fairy tales, and also articles about psychological and social significance of tales. So those might be really useful for you. The classification tab might be helpful because when you're actually in the library looking for books, it will help point you in the right direction, like where to start. P28 will have books on traditional stories and folklore and legends, folklore studies, so that would be more like exploring the significance of these stories, is GR 1 through 950. And then folk literature, you can look PN 905 through 1008. So either ask a librarian for help or just go into the stacks and start looking through these call numbers to see what you can find. If you're looking in a database on the library's website, these are some of the subject headings you might want to use when you've narrowed your research down, and some of the search terms you might want to use, because just searching fairy tale is going to yield way too many results, so you're going to want to narrow down your search. So your instructor will be available to help you with this assignment. I'm available in the library to help you. Again, my name is Leanne Olivier. Please come visit me or email me if you have any questions about this project or about this LibGuide. Good luck with your project.